Okay, and then just patient's future and date if you choose to.
What's today? Today's the
19th, sorry.
That's fine.
Okay, and then again, here's like a list of the typical side effects that you're concerned about.
Okay.
You know they added death as a side effect on the I think it's the bears, whatever that stands for, right?
And your card. So if you get vaccinated today, then this is the date to come back to get your second dose. It's March 12th at 10:30 a.m. So same place, same time. And you bring this card with you as kind of your golden ticket for your second dose. Okay. And again, I definitely recommend if you have questions to go to the CDC because there's a lot of misinformation. So, but we direct people to either the California Department of Public Health or the CDC, and they have a lot more vaccination information and a ton of Q&As, more than
What's the biggest?
now.
What's the biggest misinformation that you're coming across? Like what people think about these vaccines?
Well, you know, a lot of different information about with the vaccine, you might be like implanted with something from the government.
Oh, the chipping thing, Mark of the Beast thing?
Different conspiracy
Nanotechnology, I think they called it.
So,
Right, the nano.
Okay.
yeah, and I think just general concerns. So I think, you know, going to the CDC or CDPH can answer a lot of questions.
Okay.
And then any clinical staff can help with medical stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Sorry, I could be of more help.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
So I just take this in? Okay. All right. Thank you, Amy.
Where do you go?
This way? Or?
Oh, the arrow. The flight attendant.
You need to use the restroom? I think it's recording at some point. I don't know why. Stop recording. Huh? Yeah. You use the restroom? Good? Okay. Oh, I was just asking you. Thank you.
If you need to, once you sit down, you can come back in.
How do you pronounce that word?
Which phlebotomist?
Phlebotomist. Oh no. Are you doing that here today? No?
Straight down the yellow ribbon, guys. Slow down, get some pictures of this. How big is it? Do I want to take photos? We need to talk to him and make it about
Guys,
Hi.
watch that little speed bump. Come this way. How are you?
Good. How are you
Ready
doing?
for a shot?
I'm a driver. But we have a couple more questions, I think, because we just got the
Just one of you getting the shot?
Yeah.
Okay. Right here. I'm sure you'll take good care of it.
Hi. Sorry?
Both of you?
Just me.
Just you? Okay, have a seat. My
Okay.
name is Misty.
Okay.
Is this your first dose?
Yes, ma'am.
Have a seat.
Okay.
Which arm are we going to do this in?
Doesn't matter.
You don't know
Maybe-
if you're feeling sick today?
I don't know. I was told that I could be sick and not know it, so I don't.
Well, are you having any symptoms of anything?
I don't think so. No.
No? Okay. So I'm going to have you change that answer to no that you're
Okay.
not sick today. And then you've not had COVID. You're not sure. Okay. And then you don't know if you have HIV.
I was in the military, so I don't know what they really
Okay.
did
All right.
inject me with.
But I'll have you take your pen and change that to a no because you're just that you're feeling okay.
Yeah.
All right. Which arm are we going to give this to you in?
Left arm.
Okay. EN6200. EN6200. And 1102. I'm going to have you pull your sleeve way up.
Oh, don't we have a question or two?
Well,
Yeah.
Sorry. Because we just got this fact sheet and we're trying to read it. you know, without dogging up everybody's time
Sure.
here.
Okay, you have a question.
The first one, Missy, is about the ingredients. In this shot, it says something about, well, it's a lot of complicated words that we can't understand.
Okay.
So the RNA part, if you could talk about that a little bit more, and then what is the, oh gosh, I'm sorry, it's on page
That's okay.
page
Okay.
2.
How are you today? Good. So what do you like to do?
The RNA part, what is that doing to the genetics, like a DNA thingy? And then what's happening with the, somebody said to ask about the antifreeze thing, that it's why it's so cold, that's why it's minus whatever.
Right. Okay. I'm gonna go get a pharmacist over here to talk to you
okay.
about that. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Missy.
As long as you let the vaccine take off and get going.
You need to keep it a little cool. You need to keep it cool. Yeah. Careful with your questions. You gotta play dumb, remember? So what are you gonna ask?
Well, with the ingredients and then the immunity and rigidness.
Let me see the.
And then after the vaccine, I'm going to go all the way down the hall here.
So they had you change your answers. That was interesting.
What's that?
They had you change your answers, and I want to know about those two and the dropouts and the trials, if the pharmacist has any other information.
Okay. Here's a pharmacist for you.
Hi.
What kind of questions do you have?
Well, there was somewhere I just ran into. It had said that the coronavirus isn't in this vaccine.
No, it is not. So
Okay.
basically, what it is it's a piece of, they call it messenger RNA.
Okay.
So when your body has DNA, right? So your cell kind of transcribed it into another form of DNA. It's called messenger RNA. So then the protein would take that little string of mRNA and then convert that into a protein. So that's what you're getting, is that little strand of DNA. Your body, using your body's protein, they're converting that into another protein. So you're not getting any kind of active virus
Okay.
in you. So it's just, so you know how like the flu vaccine, you're getting the proteins from the vaccines that are parts of the virus, so that your body can learn how to recognize those protein particles on the virus. And that's how you build an immune response. With this new technology, they're giving you, instead of the protein, they're giving you that precursor of the protein. Your body will transcribe it into a protein, and your body will respond it the same way as any other vaccine.
Okay. So how does it recognize the coronavirus then?
So these little pieces of DNA or mRNA that you're getting, when it's transcribed and the whole process goes through, they're actually particles on the virus. So instead of giving you those particles that are already in the protein forms on the virus, they're giving you that precursor, and then your body will convert that into the finished products, what would normally be on the
So it's like your body's making the vaccine, not getting the vaccine.
well, sort of. It's just a different way of formations. Do you want me to draw it out, if that helps? Okay. So you have DNA, right? And then your body will make that into mRNA, and then that goes through a protein it's called ribosome, and then that becomes a protein.
So the DNA turns it to mRNA?
Yeah, it goes through these processes called transcriptions and translation.
So is the DNA in the vaccine?
No, the vaccine actually has mRNA.
Right, okay.
So normally what you would get from a, let's say like a flu vaccine, would be the protein of the virus. But in this case, you're not getting the protein, you're getting the mRNA, and your body will convert them into the protein.
Okay.
So it's just like it take it back a step, essentially, but it works the same way.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So where and I like the pictures. Thank you.
No problem.
Where is the COVID SARS-2 thingy that's going to help with immunity and stopping the spread if it's not been isolated? Where
Okay,
is that?
so These one will code for protein that are on, these protein essentially are like spike proteins. And they isolated that already and they made that part here. So instead of waiting for the whole process to be grown in like eggs or something like that, and then isolate the proteins and then inject into you,
They're using your cells.
They're using your cell to do that last
Gotcha.
step. So they're giving you that mRNA, which is
Wow.
the precursor of the proteins, the spike proteins and all the other proteins that are on.
Wow.
So they isolated certain genes that are specific to this virus, and then they're giving you that precursor to the protein. So it kind of helps expedite. That's why we got this vaccine so quickly, because we don't have to go into massive, growth and culture in the chicken egg like the flu vaccine. It takes a lot of time. This one, they just need to amplify this DNA. It just makes a lot of this mRNA.
Okay.
And your body take that last step to this protein, which your body immune response will be looking for this on the actual virus when you get infected.
So why does the person have to do dose 2 in a month? If this is
So your body actually builds an immune response in stages. The first time you get anything, it's very mild. You don't build a really strong response. So the second shot is like a booster. I don't know if you know about tetanus, but every 10 years you need to get a booster. So it acts as the same way. We want to make sure the efficacy is as maximal as possible. That's why they do it in stages of 2 vaccines. So like a lot of other vaccines, the measles, there are multiple. You have like hepatitis, you get 3 of them. So it's just depending on how the virus is with the body. You kind of want that amplify response with the second dose. Does that answer?
Yeah, no, we've never had this explained. The paperwork, you read something and you're like,
Yeah, and we try to ask questions of public health, but they don't let us. They don't get our questions out there.
Gotcha.
There was somewhere that was saying that we don't know the duration.
No, we don't,
of
because
protection.
it's so new. We
Okay.
just don't know. And honestly, with the way that the virus is replicating, we might need a different vaccine like the flu. We might. We don't
Okay.
know. We're hoping it's not.
you're talking about mutations?
Mutations,
Yeah.
yes.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know if you know about like HIV. It replicates so much so quickly that we haven't been able to develop a vaccine because it mutates so quickly.
Wow.
So same thing with this virus. So we're hoping it's not going to mutate so quickly that next year this vaccine is going to be obsolete. We're hoping it's not going to be the case, but we don't know. It's just too new. But what I do know is that
Maybe we should-
there are
if we're holding
cases
you
of
up,
people
should we
who
talk to her over here?
actually
We don't have a dose for you anyways right now.
Sorry,
no problem. The response is really well documented.
Okay.
Even if you get exposed to people who got infections after the second dose, 2 weeks after the second dose, they have very mild cases, which looks really good. I mean, working in a hospital, I've seen people on ventilators for months. So, whatever protections you can get, I strongly recommend it. I have my whole family vaccinated.
Wow. Is there a preference between the
Between the
Pfizer or Moderna?
No, at this point there isn't. Their data is very similar. It's just whatever the company would give us the allotment, because it's not like you can put in an order and get whatever you want. It's an allotment of how big your county is, that sort of stuff.
So what if I wanted to get double protection and get them both?
Well, at this point, we can't really say you can because there's no data. That's number one. Number two is that we really want everybody to have a little protections. So, I mean, ideally, yes, we want everybody to be as protected as possible, but it's just not right to have somebody more protected than others when there's still people out there who haven't been able to get vaccinated yet.
Right.
Okay,
Okay.
so why do we have to still wear masks and be 6 feet apart and...
So the problem is there are mutating viruses out there. We don't know if the vaccine we get is actually going to help protect us from those new mutants. So that's a big concern in the medical industry right now. Personally, I would wear the mask until this thing goes away, whether I get the vaccine or not. And I have both vaccines, I'm still wearing masks. And then I'm probably wearing masks for the rest of my life, every flu season, because our flu numbers look great this year. Because social distancing and masks.
So if the masks work, why would we have to do vaccines?
Well, it doesn't always work if you don't wear it properly. That's the big problem. People don't wear it properly. A lot of people wear it with their nose hanging out or with their chin. I mean, they wear it all kind of ways. And a lot of times we are not very good at hand hygiene, touching our eyes, touching the mucosal body parts essentially. So that way it's just honestly whatever we can have and can do to minimize our risk, I would do it. So until this really things like go away, like smallpox, I would still recommend you wearing a mask until then.
So has anybody had to have an EpiPen or an ambulance?
I've
thing?
worked 2 days already, and a lot of the days so far nothing.
Okay.
So I've personally given over 1,000 vaccinations, and I've not had anybody need an EpiPen.
It's very, very rare.
but
We have
it
them,
can
actually.
happen.
Yeah, we have them in the middle table. I come prepared. So I personally have.
Has it been 10 minutes?
Well, do you want me to give your dose away, or do you want me to keep it?
Oh,
I just had a little bit more questions.
Okay,
I don't know. It
okay.
doesn't.
Okay,
it away.
that's okay. All right.
I'm sorry.
you're
Yeah.
My
I'm
name
just
is Hugh.
Cute.
I'm a pharmacist.
I'm just
Thank you.
Yeah.
I wish these
You know
forms
what?
were
Yeah,
better.
feeling a little,
Ask some more questions.
Not feeling it.
feeling a little. Yeah.
You just wait.
So I'm just a little worried about side effects.
Honestly, it wouldn't be anything more than what you would get if you get a cold.
Okay.
So have you had the flu vaccines in the past?
It's been a while since
Okay.
I don't know the military, which was quite a while ago.
Okay, so what you want to know is that there are side effects and there's the immune response that you're expected to get.
The immune response.
Yeah, so
Okay.
like sore arm, that's a side effect. Everybody gets sore arm. It's very unlikely that you don't get a sore arm. Even though the needle is very small, but the fact that your cells are getting there to kind of build a response, you feel the heat a little bit, you feel soreness.
Those only last
It's
10
not
minutes.
too bad.
No, I just,
So-
what's happening is I want him to have his dose because he's been here a while.
Yeah.
But they're filling other people. And so I just wanted, if he decided, he's been sitting here a while, I
Yeah.
just didn't want him to wait longer
It's-
than he
it's-
needed.
yeah,
They
important
last long enough.
Okay, because
Yeah.
they start out frozen and then they thaw out.
Right. We're all
Okay.
good with that way. I just,
Oh, okay.
we don't have many doses made up right now, so I just want him to have his if he decides to do
What
it.
happens if you
I
give it
appreciate
when
that.
it's not the right temperature?
Well, we're afraid that it's not going to be as effective, but that's why we have to follow the manufacturer's guideline.
So does it come
to room temperature, and then we dilute it, and then we draw it up in syringes.
Okay.
And it's only good for so many hours. That's why whatever we give her, she has to use it pretty quickly.
Yeah.
If not, we give it to somebody who uses it quickly, and then you get the next time.
That kind of makes me worried a little bit.
No, it's
Like,
the logistic nightmare when it
Yeah.
comes to the
It's like the
timing.
flu vaccine as well. If you have it on your counter for 2 days, it's lost its efficacy. It's the same chickenpox vaccine. Any of the vaccinations.
Anything that comes refrigerated, the manufacturers only guarantee at room temperature for so long.
Right.
Depending
Okay.
on the stability of it, and it just goes for all
Yeah.
kind of medications.
but you can't leave this one out for 2 days though, huh?
No.
Correct. Or you wouldn't want to leave out milk. So anything like that.
I
It's
have
the
a
same
question.
kind of
Well, if you're having people wait for 15 minutes, what happens if something happens on the way home? I'm his driver today because got issues here.
Okay, so
Why
have
is
you
it-
had any kind of reaction to any vaccines before?
I don't think so.
Okay. Now, you are more than welcome to stay here for 30 minutes instead of 15 if you're concerned that you get a reaction. People who have anaphylactic reactions to other vaccines or other medications, then there's a lot of things out there that you don't know if you're allergic to as well. So if you're concerned about that aspect, I recommend you to stay 30 minutes instead of 15,
Okay.
and it makes everybody feel safer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what's the worst that could happen, like side effect wise?
Side effects wise, I mean, like you feel like a little hot, like kind of feverish, low grade. I wouldn't say like 102. It's more like 99-ish. Tenderness. So you would get like almost like you feel like you have a cold coming on. That's just your body ramping up the immune response. So if you see that, you know at least you're building some kind of response.
Okay.
So this has no actual virus, live virus, so you can't get sick from it. What you're feeling is your immune response ramping up.
Oh, because I think that's what one of your friends was saying to ask about the autoimmune problem, that people are getting Guillain-Barré, if I said it right, or they're getting Bell's palsy,
That
paralysis.
is very, very rare.
Okay,
very
they should
rare.
list
And
that
that can
then.
happen with any vaccine for that matter, but it's like very, very rare. I don't even know if there's a number to it, but we haven't had any cases documented that.
Do you know why that happens? Why does that happen?
Everybody's immune response is different,
Okay.
unfortunately. The process is very, very involved, basically, because everybody genetic is so different from one another. What I would respond to one drug is not how you would respond to one drug.
Right.
Now, sometimes those drugs, unfortunately, mimic some other things that you've seen in the past, your body, I mean. So that sometimes that's why you get allergic reactions to it. Is because your body kind of seen it in the past and they recognize that I don't like that.
Okay.
You know, like any kind of allergen per se. So it sees something that it doesn't like, it marked it, and then sometimes years later it sees something similar, but it recognizes that. It's not perfect, but it sees something similar and it recognizes that, and they're like, okay, we got to tackle it. So that's why you get, so like anaphylactic reaction, usually it doesn't happen with that first exposure that you get to it. It's usually the second or the third, because at first they have to recognize what it is first, and then the second time when it already had it built into that memory as, I don't like that. It's a foreign thing to me, I'm going to attack, and so the second times when you get exposed to like peanut or whatever, bam, that's your anaphylactic reaction. It doesn't happen the first time you get exposed to something.
Usually doesn't. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much for all that information.
No problem. Actually, I studied immunology before I went to pharmacy school. So I hope that helps.
Yeah. Well, so since you studied that, could you have the, like, it might be rare, I don't know, but could it be possible to have a completely backwards response?
What do you mean?
Like you
more
know,
susceptible to infections?
well, yeah, well that too, but to where your immune system, like, I don't know, it might be a crazy question where your immune system does the actual opposite because it's vaccine.
I wouldn't say that. Like I said, there could be many things that goes on in the body. It's just kind of like cancer. There's so many things that are involved in the whole process of self-growth and development. So any of that part, if you already have some kind of pre-genetic dispositions, unfortunately, that's why some people are prone to have cancers compared to some other people. So anything, I can't say that, it never happens and it won't happen, because when it comes to genetic, anything can happen.
Yeah,
but
so what I meant was,
theoretically, it's unlikely.
like, to where your immune system would actually kind of attack itself in some way?
Yeah.
Because of the vaccine?
We haven't had any documented cases yet, which doesn't mean it's never going to happen. But like I said, theoretically, it could happen, but it's very, very unlikely. And it could happen with a vaccine, it could happen with peanut, it could happen with eggs. People are allergic to all kind of stuff. It's very interesting when you study immunology.
Yeah.
It's just so random. It's just
How many what?
when it comes to cancer drugs that I'm studying right now, it's very interesting because there are certain gene mutations that causes the cancer. So it doesn't mean that you can't be treated with, the general cancer drug. It just means that you have to be careful, because if that cancer drug doesn't target that gene mutation, it doesn't work. So it has to be, everybody is so individualized that it's not going to be a one-size-fits-all.
Right. Okay.
So you kind of have to take it with a grain of salt.
Have you ever had people that kind of have, I'm having second thoughts for you. I'm just because if they keep adding new, they've got Pfizer, then it's Moderna, then it's Johnson & Johnson, then it's AstraZeneca. So how many more are going to be trying to catch up?
Think about Motrin, ibuprofen.
Yeah.
How many different brands of ibuprofen are out there, right?
Yeah.
It's a generic. Motrin is the the brand is the ibuprofen, and then you've got this company makes ibuprofen, this company makes ibuprofen, this gets. So same kind of thing is probably going to happen with eventually down the line with these vaccines.
At this point, I would just recommend that if you feel comfortable going with the vaccine in general, any vaccines you get your hand on right now is better than nothing.
Even if it's experimental.
Well, there's always going to be experimental. Whatever you introduce to your body brand new, even though a million of people take it, it's new to you. It's going to be your experimental.
Right. Well, these manufacturers can't be sued, so they already have immunity. So, do you ever worry about you all doing the injections that it might come back on all of you for poking people and jabbing people?
No, I've given
That's
my
why-
parents.
that's why
I've
you
given
have
my. I'm
consent.
so comfortable with this, And me as a nurse, at first I thought, no, I'm not going to get this. And then I'm watching the physicians that I work with. They do more research than I've done, and they've all gotten it. I have given this dose to my husband. I've given this dose to my parents. I've given this dose to many people that I know. I think it's...
Well, sometimes
If it's the
reactions
choice.
happen later, though. It might not be right
Sure,
away.
sure.
So my question is for the people that are RNs, LVNs, or who's ever doing the injection, that one day if this goes into a really bad situation, that they might come back after you innocent people trusting the system.
Yeah, no, I don't feel that way. I think you guys have a lot more questions, and that
Yeah.
you really don't sound like you're ready for this vaccine.
Well, we just read this
Yeah.
right now, and
You guys have had a lot of good questions.
Well, and we appreciate you
Yeah,
taking our
for
questions.
sure.
This is a big
It is.
choice, and I just
Yeah.
want to
you
make sure I
can't
have
redo
it.
it. This isn't like the other.
I want to make sure I have the right.
nanotechnology thing. Somebody said to ask about.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we just reconsider and just put us on pause. That's,
So we're going to have more vaccine clinics available
Okay.
in the following weeks.
Okay.
And you guys go back, review the notes that you've made,
Okay.
speak to your own personal physicians, see what their guidelines are, knowing what is your body and what any comorbidities
It's
you
just
have.
so hard right now, like without having appointments with the doctors, like to be able to get questions answered.
You write
know,
them down.
so-
You write them down. And
Well,
you
what I
take
mean is,
notes. Yeah.
it's hard to, like, she's been so great. You know,
Yeah.
you've been awesome answering a lot of these questions. We're not able to get these questions answered from, you know. Yeah. So, but
you need a training video, and you can be the star of the video. I don't know. It's just,
I hope at least I give you some questions and some things to think about. Just in general, there's always going to be risk with any new things that you introduce to your body. Now, is it to say that it won't happen to you? Can't ever say that. But I have to say, this vaccine, the way, yes, it came out rather quickly, but they didn't skip any step in their process, if that's what
I
the concern.
heard they did. The animal studies weren't surviving, the mice and the ferrets. You heard about that? That's why they skipped the animal studies, is that they were all dying.
You can't compare animals.
But you do,
ferrets.
that's part of studies, though, is you start the animal world, and then you go to human. To
That
skip,
is
to
not,
skip the
that's
animals.
not always true, unfortunately. So when you're thinking about it, and actually this study has more study participants than any of the other study have done in many, many years, because the amount of people who volunteered to be study participants it was very overwhelming.
One of your friends said that a lot of people dropped out and they only used healthy people. They didn't use people that had obesity or diabetes.
That's
or,
with every study, though. That's with every study.
they only study on the
usually-
healthy people. See, this is another confusing thing. You have to ask your doctor. We
Yeah.
should do
Yeah,
that.
Yeah.
This is getting kind of. The more questions we're coming up with, the more. It's,
Most of the studies only study with a certain populations. That's very correct.
well, they're going to start working on the kids next, which is kind of scary. But that's
has there
another
been
subject.
any studies on children?
No.
No? Or-
16 and
Ohio
up. 16 and up on the Pfizer that we know for now. Moderna 18 and up.
Do you know
So,
why? Why is it only 2 years?
It just the way the studies are. It just depends on how the researchers wants to pursue this. Because pediatric is a very special populations. Usually they're not included in majority of the studies.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we actually need more data on them, but we just don't have it. It's just because they're not legal age, and you can't. The parents, it makes it hard on the parent to make that decision for their kids.
Oh, for sure.
You know, it's like my kids are not a legal age, but I'm gonna like put the kid, you know, to do this. So it's not fair for the parents, and it's hard for parents to, unless it's like a grave disease that, you know, it's do or die. So it's rather you try something or rather than not have anything at all.
Right.
So at this
Okay.
point, I feel like, you know,
So do you trust Dr. Fauci and all the things that keep going flip and flop and
because
changing?
it does not contradict anything that I've studied in my entire life. Everything he says is spot on scientific.
Nobody, I'm saying he's going back and forth. First he said mask, no mask, and then he says maybe everything he says flips and changes.
This
and
is
that's what I'm
it's a
saying.
very new disease. it's always going to be evolving with everything that's new. Same with HIV. Everybody freaks out about people touching each other, but you know it only goes through if it's blood, sex. You know what I mean? So it's always going to be. The more we learn about it, the more information there is. There's going to be changes in what we know of it, and our knowledge will develop over time. So it's not to say that what's true today isn't going to be true tomorrow. So things always going to change.
Well, that's why informed consent's really important, and the
Exactly.
screening pages aren't always. They're asking kind of vague, whatever you're saying.
Yeah.
Kind of vague questions like, do you feel sick today? And I don't know.
That's with any vaccines. Those are the same questions with any vaccines.
Is that the same sheet?
I think so. This was hers.
Yeah, those are just very general questions with any vaccines that you're getting. They want to know because if you're sick,
Okay.
you might not build a strong immune response
yeah,
like
no,
you're supposed to.
Well, that wouldn't be good to be, show up sick and get a vaccine. No, not smart.
Well-
But why do they have people that are in the elder homes, skilled nursing, and they're 70 and 80 years old? I've even heard of people in hospice getting vaccinated, and they're in hospice.
Because they live in close quarters with other people and they come in contact with a lot of individuals, they're at higher risk.
But that contradicts what you just said. If people are ill or sick, they shouldn't be getting the vaccine. But
No,
then
it
these
depends
people,
on what kind of sickness you have. It's not to say that, your sick might be like really bad blood pressure. It's not the same thing as I have no response at all. So it really depends on what kind of sick, and a lot of them are dementia in nursing homes too. So it just varies with what kind of definitions you are defining as sick. So not to say, it's just more like they need extra help taking care of themselves rather than sick, like requiring a lot of medical, like more like personal daily activities sort of help.
well, I hope this doesn't become mandatory because this is kind of.
It's never going to be a mandatory thing. What you do with your body is your choice. But that's why we have to
But
inform
people,
consent.
to keep your job sometimes, didn't Karen Ramsden, health officer, last spring say you have to be vaccinated and wear a mask, and then board of supervisors had some kind of,
That's for health, and that's for healthcare employees. So that's what you do for your job.
but
That's
that's
different.
mandated,
So
isn't it?
have you been vaccinated with this?
Yes,
Which
I
one?
have both
The
those.
Pfizer? Yeah, no side effects? Okay. Has everyone working here been vaccinated?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know that.
Do they have to be to work here? No?
It's not mandatory. What you do with your body is not.
Okay.
Well, it's not mandatory right now. We know things are changing with the travel and to go to certain places. And, it's just, the headlines are hard to listen to. It's getting to be a bright.
So I'll have you folks will come with me. We're gonna go out the back, and then when you're ready for your dose, you can sign up again for public health. I'll have you come with me.
Okay. I'm sorry. Thank you.
You're good.
Thank
I'm
you.
going to keep this. We're going to shred this, okay?
Okay.
Get your
All
dose.
right. Thank you.
I'll show you how you can get out of it.
Thank you so much for
No problem.
for answering.
I hope I can answer some of your
Yeah.
concerns, okay?
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. Have a good one.
You too.
When you're ready, when you're ready. No pressure. Yeah, seriously,
Not really reassuring
got the
us.
fact sheet, you can review that.
Yeah, it's limited.
Is
though.
this all the information I can get?
Yeah,
Is there-
you can go online and research it too. You're good here. No, she does. She's with me.
Hmm? Hmm? What? All right. Thank you. She okay? You too, thank you. Yeah, where do I...
Ambulance. Hey, it's right now 10, it's 11:30.
Got eyes on you. Uh-oh, here you go. They're coming. Oh, here comes the security. You done did it now.
Listen, this is why we're scared. We're scared. Get in your car. They can't be in your car.
They're coming for you.
We're just saying no camera. We're just saying no camera.
Uh-oh. You couldn't help yourself, boy.
We were just told this is safe and we don't want him to be vaccinated.
Okay. Our protest area is over in the south lot, over
I'm
in
not
front of the theater.
protesting.
That's fine.
Protester? I'm sorry, did you say protester?
What's
going on here, guys?
Oh, you said protester.
No, I'm trying to understand what's happening here.
I decided not to get it.
Totally fine.
Yeah.
You are welcome to go.
Yeah, we're going. We're going.
We're leaving.
That had nothing to do with the vaccine. It's an isolated incident and unfortunate.
Okay.
It's for private, but I can't tell you what happened. But you're not allowed to take pictures of all
Where's
of
it say that? Where's it say that? I'm on public property.
It's not going to be a
Common
private.
sense. Don't take pictures of patients.
That's hurt.
It's
That's
not
HIPAA
close
right.
up. It's far away.
Doesn't matter.
Ma'am, for the privacy of our patients, we ask that you don't take pictures of them. That
We're
is their
leaving.
private
We're
information.
leaving.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Have a
Thank
good day,
you.
guys.
You too. Thank you.
You too. Perfect. Isolated incident.
Last picture.
Get that.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, we're leaving. Hey, for my food. Oh, God, look at this.
Oh. You can't help yourself.
Several pictures.
Oh.
That's just not nice. No, that's just evidence. Isolated incident. Has nothing to do with this vaccine clinic here today.
Oh, man.
Anyway, folks, it's been about an hour.